So my name's Nora Trenicosta. I'm the regional manager for Text Help, which means that I normally, in my other life, am traveling up and down the West Coast and Alaska and all over, helping teachers at different school districts. But I am close to you guys. I'm actually based out of San Leandro, so we're all not far from each other. I just wanted to, say hello, let you know I was here. I'm actually going to stop my video here so that you don't have to see what we're technically calling spider fingers. I have kind of a weird video cam. So from here on out, I am going to show my screen instead of my video, just so you guys don't have to see my little fingers typing at you. But do feel free to reach out if you have any questions. So hopefully everyone has found the slides here, and that link, everything that I'm sharing with you here is going to stay current. It's all going to stay available for you. So Kelleth asked me to talk about PDFs. And I think, in the past, we've had a lot of worksheets, and now that we're all kind of pushed suddenly into remote learning, it's probably time to get beyond worksheets if we can. We want to give our students as many ways to interact as possible. So that's me. You've got my contact information there. We'll get you a bunch of resources here in these slides. And hopefully at some point I'll be able to meet with you guys again in person when we're all doing things real and live. The district has a district license of Read&Write, and I'm pretty sure that all of you have had the tools pushed out to you, but just in case you don't, I have detailed instructions here to download the tools if you need them, and these are very detailed step-by-step instructions. You'll also see in my slides, I tend to give you a lot of links, so this link will take you to some very detailed instructions. And just reminding you guys, I know this has been a kind of a bit of a challenge sometimes in OUSD because you transitioned to G Suite while you still had Outlook for email. So I just wanted to point out to you that when your students are using a Chromebook and they open up the Chromebook and they log in, it's automatically going to log them into both the Chrome browser, which is what this little picture right here represents, and into their Google Drive at the same time. But for those of us that are working on a Mac or a PC, we need to be using the Chrome browser, and we need to make sure we're logged into the browser and that we're logged into our Google Drive. And that's how we're going to have access to all those great extensions like Read&Write and any of the other extensions that you enjoy using. So just make sure when you want to use the tools that you are not only logged into both, but that you are logged in as the same person. If some of you are sharing a laptop with a child, they may be logged into the Chrome browser and you may be logged into your Drive. So just because you can see your Gmail and you can look at all your own documents doesn't necessarily mean you're logged in both places. So just check and make sure. I could be Nora Rocks at Gmail up here and Nora Text Help down here. So just double check and make sure those two things are matching. And then you should have access to all of your extensions, including Read&Write and the one we're going to talk about today, that PDF reader. So I wanted to really make this session useful for all of you. So I put together a little Google form. I don't know how much you guys are using Google Forms right now, but they're pretty great for online interaction. And I would love to ask you guys to take a few minutes to fill out this form. Let me know the areas that your students need the most help with. And if you're special ed, where they may have accommodations, what are the areas where your students need the most help? So if you're on my slides, let me back out of here. I'm on slide 5, and you should be able to click right there to get to this document. And we'll look at what you need. And then just for fun, I thought I'd see what we're doing for self-care, because we really need to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves right now. I thought it was timely in general and extra timely for Teacher Appreciation Week. So just kind of informally, let's get a chance to see what people are doing there. So I'll click here and we'll give you guys a few minutes to kind of respond to that. And then while you're doing that, I'll let you know kind of some of the housekeeping, the ground rules for what we're hoping to do today. So I'm hoping that we can think of some of the ways that we're going to be able to help students. So this slideshow is chock full of resources that I want you guys to be able to access later. So I thought we could talk about resources and strategies. And then when we're in the slides, if we skip all the way down to that last bright pink slide for brainstorming strategies, I actually have a document that we are all allowed to edit. And then when we get over to this document, you will be able to add your own strategies. I'll try to kind of scribe for the group and add things that we're learning, and that'll be a way for us to kind of summarize our learning today. So I wanted to make sure that you guys get a chance to do that. So just checking on our, oh, we're coming in. I'm going to give you guys a little bit more time.
And I'll just mention that the form is, I just posted the link to that in the chat.
Thank you.
So you can just click on that to get to the form easily.
And I don't know how much you guys use Google Forms, but they're great for things like this. I did open up the form so that you guys would be able to see each other's responses, so we can see kind of what we're doing. But this will give us an idea of, all right, Google Classroom, yay! So you want to use this in Google Classroom. Writing prompts and independent writing seem to be kind of a big feature. Completing worksheets. Reading web-based materials, accessing grade level textbooks. All right, so a little bit. Math worksheets. I'm gonna share with you some pretty cool stuff that you can do with PDF Reader. And while you guys are filling that out, I'll look at what we're doing. Sleeping. I'm glad we're all trying to sleep. It doesn't always work, but that's good. Baking. Yeah, me too. I'm sort of out of control. We're definitely on a flower conservation plan at our house. It's not always easy to get. So my hubby just finished making awesome cinnamon rolls. I can smell them. Walking around the neighborhood, yeah, that's been really nice. Okay. Good deal. All right, so this kind of gives me an idea. I've definitely got a lot of folks that want to talk about Google Classroom. Oh, okay. And so let me take a couple of quick notes here. I'm going to say we want to talk about Classroom, worksheets, math worksheets, and web-based material. And I guess I should have asked you guys also, you know, how many of you guys have, you know, existing worksheets in a program that you're, you know, concerned about getting access to, because we could talk about that as well. So let's look at some of the resources that we have, different ways for students to kind of interact with the text. So one is talk and type. So I'm in Google Slides, so you can see the toolbar, the Read and Write toolbar for Google Slides, and you have the talk and type there. You just press the button and speak at the computer, and the content will go down. So I'll just say something down here. I'm glad we're all getting a chance to talk today. It'll be interesting to find out what kind of resources will be most helpful for you. So pretty simple. And one thing I wanted to point out about Read and Write, some of you may be more comfortable using Read and Write in slides or in docs versus the PDF. But the good news is once you know how to use one of the icons in Read and Write, even though the toolbar looks different in a different format, you're still going to use it the same way. So if you know how to use word prediction in a Google Doc, you also know how to use word prediction in a PDF. So the presentation may be a little bit different, but you'll be there. So this is some background and ideas about how to use speech input. With your students at home right now, that may be even more of a factor than it was in the classroom. If you didn't have headsets, there may be headsets available to your students at home, or it may be a little easier for them to get to a quiet place where they can speak to respond. And then I'm not sure how many of you guys are using word prediction, but we can talk about some strategies for using word prediction. Word prediction is a common accommodation in special ed. It's also a fabulous way to get your students to not just kind of flirt with academic vocabulary, but to actually really use academic vocabulary. So there's lots of stuff in this, this study here about it, but long story short, we know that when students have access to word prediction, they are much more likely to use grade level academic vocabulary in their writing when they're not having to worry about things like grammar, spelling, punctuation, subject-verb agreement, plural endings of words. So huge for ELs. They know the words, but as far as like being able to kind of crank them out and still keep their attention on what they're writing, word prediction kind of goes a long way with that. So we'll talk about that as a strategy. I'm not sure how many of you guys are using the highlighters in the digital text, but if you want to incorporate standards in your lessons, highlighters are an awesome way to explicitly show standards-based strategies. So I tried to pick a really basic standard here. And so what we looked at was main idea and detail. The student here identified the main idea in pink and the details in green, and they were actually able to pull those out into a separate document. So if you were using the tools inside the PDF reader and you collected up those highlights, you would get a fresh Google Doc in your Google Drive with that highlighted information and a link back to the original text. So here we did main idea and detail. It could be character plot and setting. It could be with little kids, it could be beginning, middle, and end. Or what if you had like a leveled text for little kids, or even, heaven forfend, a spelling list. You could have your students maybe identify the short A words in yellow and the short O words in green and pull them out and actually have a word list to work with, rather than just, copying things by rote. So these are some strategies that we'll be able to use inside PDF files. And I'm not sure where you guys are getting your text. I'm not sure if you're, pretty exclusively using, textbooks that are provided for you by the district, or if you're looking for content. But there are, these first two resources are for students with disabilities, but the other resources are appropriate for anyone. And if you're looking for things for students at very low levels, that kind of like basic CVC stuff and simple low level, it can be hard to find that online, and this is a pretty great thing to have in your back pocket. This Tar Heel Readers is a nonprofit site. It's the North Carolina Tar Heels, and these are teacher created little books. So you can search by level, or you can look, okay, here's something about Mother's Day. Oh, it looks like it's very British. I love mum. But there's these little short books here that you can work with. And in this case, you'd probably want to use the web toolbar for Read and Write, which I just opened up by clicking on that little guy. So that's another option for you. We're talking about PDFs, and a really fabulous, two of these places are great places to get PDFs. If any of you are secondary teachers and you haven't experienced the glory that is Common Lit, it is amazing. They do level text sets on really interesting topics for like middle and high school. And so it might be something like, what is independence? And then there might be like a 4th grade level reading selection, a 7th grade reading level selection, and a 9th grade reading level selection that are different, but can all interact together with a list of common questions. These are fabulous if you got kids at different levels. Another great place to get PDFs is Merlot, is the California State University's like library of online materials. And even though it's CSU, you can sort by level, and there I've seen things go down to about a 5th grade level. So if you were looking for a, I don't know, like a PDF document explaining mitosis, you would be able to go in there and go PDF mitosis by level and probably find something that you'd be able to use. So that's great. Another source I wanted to make sure that you guys knew about is Project Gutenberg. I don't know if any of you have tried this, or if you tried it in the past and decided you weren't crazy about it. They've really done a lot of work over here in the last couple of years. Project Gutenberg is, and these are all free, Project Gutenberg is just people who love books, and kind of like the people at Firefox, it's all volunteers, and they scan old books that are generally out of print and public domain. So that means you're going to be able to find classics. If it is older than Mickey Mouse, there's a good chance you might find it in here. So that means Mark Twain, Dickens, Shakespeare, Aristotle, and then just all kinds of kind of interesting older stuff. So let's say I wanted to find A Tale of Two Cities. I'm going to search for it, and I'm going to find several different versions of it. But, and look, it's even in Spanish. I'm going to go ahead and click on this one. And the file type that I can get that's really good to use with Read&Write is called an EPUB. And when I do this, I click on that. It asks me if I want to add this to my Google Drive. And I'm going to say, yes, I want to add that EPUB to my Google Drive. It's already over there. It's that fast. And just so you guys know, we'll talk more about PDFs, but your text-help PDF reader includes an EPUB reader. So you'll also be able to read EPUBs. So if you have access to free EPUBs, there's tons out there. If you just Google free EPUB, you're going to find all kinds of jazz. You'll also be able to interact with those with text-help PDF reader.
Hey,
so,
Nora.
Yes.
Hey, this is Stacy.
Hey, Stacy.
Hey, I was just, I just know that a lot of people online here, maybe we can do a show of hands. I know you're showing a lot of resources that they can use with Read&Write, but they may not just be aware of what is Read&Write.
Good. Okay.
So maybe we can do a show of hands of people that are unfamiliar with Read&Write and its you know, some of its basic functions.
You
and
bet.
Then these are all resources that can be used with Read&Write.
You bet. Okay. Good
so
plan.
maybe raise your hand if you are on an intro or one-on-one understanding of what Read&Write is.
And if you're not sure how to do that, you can also just add something in the chat, as I see that some people are doing.
Thanks, Khalith. Yeah, as we're all Zoom learners as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. That is like a good place for us to jump in. So just to kind of give you a quick overview, the district has purchased a tool for you called Read&Write, which, surprise, helps your students with reading and writing. And basically what Read&Write is, there's no content ever associated with Read&Write. What we do is we take whatever content you have and we lay this toolbar on top of it so that you can interact with it. So I am going to just open up a Google Doc real quickly, and I'll show you guys something real simple here in a Google Doc so that you guys can see that. So you'll see as my Google Doc loads, you won't see the toolbar, but it's still spinning here. And when it's done loading, once I have Read&Write, it is automatically going to appear in the top of my document. And I can just click right here and press the play button. And I'm sorry you guys won't hear this on Zoom. It's going to go into my ear instead. But I'm going to press the button here, and it's actually reading this out loud for me. And I paused it so you can see the word that it's speaking to me right now is polygon, and that's lit up in a contrasting color. So I can read virtually anything that I can see on the screen of a Chromebook with Read&Write and all these other tools. And again, once you know how to use any of the tools here, you will know how to use them in the different file formats. So there's a play button in PDF, there's a play button on the web toolbar. You'll be able to interact with those just the same. So that's how you would like read text out loud, right? There are tools in here that we can use. We can look up a word in the dictionary, and I am selecting the word by double-clicking on the word, and I'm going to suggest that as a really convenient way to select because it's much easier to do that in a PDF. But I'm going to click on the word, and then I'm going to click on the dictionary. And when you're using the Read&Write toolbar, once you kind of get this habit, it'll be very easy for you, but you always want to click on the item in the text, and then you want to click on the icon that you want to interact with. Again, I can press play, and I can hear this read out loud. right? And I have this dictionary. I also have a picture dictionary. And that picture dictionary is especially helpful for English language learners, as you would guess. But it's also just very helpful. It's very helpful for STEM content. You can see if I didn't already know what perimeter was, and I went to look it up in the dictionary, that's not going to help me that much. But I might have a pretty good idea if I had some basic idea about perimeter and I saw this picture, it might really help me. And once you have these two icons open, you can just go on and select other words and follow along that way. So that's the basic text to speech. And just so you guys know, there are settings over here that you can change. You can change to a different voice. You can change the speed of it. There's a translation button, which is this little guy right here, and the default is Spanish, but you can change it to translate to whatever you want there. And keep in mind, this is single word translation for just quick use in the document. If you want to translate an entire document, you're going to want to use Google Translate because it's very smart. And we want you over on the Google side using the latest version. You'll also see several voices here. And you will see voices for different languages. If I were to click this Arabic voice, it is not going to translate what's on this page into Arabic. If I had a page that was written in Arabic, this would read it with an Arabic accent or the Arabic phonetics. So just keep in mind, if you go down here and you choose Mexican Spanish Paulina, this is not going to translate this, this lesson to Spanish. It's going to read it with Spanish phonetics. So if you want to change entirely to another language, and I'll show you guys how to do this on a PDF in a little bit, you would actually go over here to the language functions. And if you choose Spanish, you can see how my functions over here changed. And I change those to Spanish. If I do that and I'm in a Spanish document, it's actually going to give me the Spanish dictionary, the Spanish Picture Dictionary, the Spanish word prediction, all of those things. So I'm going to change this back to English. But just know that everything that I'm showing you today, if you are teaching in Spanish, you're going to be able to do in Spanish, French, a couple of different languages. So this is what the toolbar looks like inside a Google Doc. You saw the picture dictionary and the dictionary. You can see I've got a couple of words here that I've highlighted, and I did that by clicking on the word and then the color. It really doesn't matter what color I pick. That's kind of more of a schematic thing if I want to apply that. These colors here, I've highlighted these words, and we already know about the dictionary and the picture dictionary. If I click here and click this vocabulary button, I'm going to get what we call a vocabulary list. It's going to make me a new Google Doc in my Google Drive, and that document is going to build a table. The table is going to have the word that I chose, the definition from the dictionary, the picture from the picture dictionary, and then a place for me to write about it as well, or whatever I want to do over here. So I'll wait till my Read and Write comes in and I'll show you how I got there. So you can see how I've got this nice little table and I can, write in it, I can change it. And once it's loaded, there's my Read and Write toolbar and I can, go to town. So I can do things like use the speech input to say, I wonder what the length of my cat's tail is. Right, so I can just speak right in there. Or I could use word prediction. And word prediction is super helpful for your students. I want you guys to think of it as more of a writing support for your students. It's not like what's on your smartphone. So what's on your smartphone is not very smart. It's autocorrect. It is not word prediction. It's not that good at figuring out what you're saying. But look what happens if I turn on the word prediction. I've got a list of words, and you won't hear this, but it's actually reading them out loud to me. So I can pick the word from the list, and it'll enter it. So I wanted you guys to notice that it says THAN. At no point does it suggest that I should say there is nothing more important THEN, because that doesn't make sense. So your students that struggle with homophones and homonyms, subject-verb agreement, plural endings, those kind of things, they're not going to struggle with that because the word prediction is smart enough to tell them what to do. And of course, it is going to respond to me typing. It looks like I'm having a little internet moment. You saw able. So even if I wasn't sure how to spell communicate, I'd still be able to say communicate. So all these icons that I've just shown you, you're going to be able to use these icons in the PDF. So I'm going to step back to our slides here. And I just want to make sure, do you guys have a little bit of an idea of like what Read and Write is going to do for you now?
Yeah, I just want to just to point out to everyone. So Read and Write is probably one of the most underutilized tools that we have in OUSD. It's actually one of the very few things that the district pays for everyone. So this is not a tool that is just available because of the closures, like we're seeing like with a lot of ed tech companies offering their stuff. This is something that is always available for all OUSD students and all OUSD teachers. And you access it, to access it, you need to be signed into your OUSD account using Chrome, and there's the purple puzzle piece that you see up on the top right. You click on that and that opens up Read and Write. This is always the case for you. So it's a really amazing tool for students, especially for intervention or students with special needs. And it's a really great tool for you also. So you can always just click on the purple puzzle piece to open it up and just explore and get to know more about Read and Write. But what Nora is really about to get into is some specific applications for Read and Write. But a really good thing, just if you're not familiar with it, then spend some time just clicking on that purple puzzle piece and exploring to see what it can do.
Thanks, Kelleth. And just so you guys know, we have lots of resources for you beyond sitting here and spending a whole hour. I've got all kinds of resources for you linked at the bottom here. So I want to make sure that if you guys decide you want to dig into this on your own, you've got places to do it relatively quickly without a ton of effort on your part. And once you kind of get the hang of it, I think you'll learn pretty quickly. So be kind to yourself. You know, that first couple of times you might be like, I'm not sure what to do here, but you'll build your proficiency with this tool pretty quickly. It's pretty intuitive.
And then this might be a good time to, there are a couple of basic questions, Nora,
yes,
that we've got in the chat. So, so one of the questions is, let's see, so does this work for a website as well?
Yes, I will show you guys how to do that.
And do we see, does Read and Write work on MacBooks?
Yes.
Yes, it does. If you are signed into Chrome on your MacBook with your OUSD account, is there a Read and Write video tutorial with basics of how to use it that's already recorded that we could share with families?
So,
absolutely. I have one that is very specific for students at home even. So.
yes, and I also, this is Stacy Springer jumping into, I will put, we in assistive technology are offering lots of trainings, and we have a full 1 hour introduction recorded and available on our resource sheet, along with some other resources that Nora has passed along. So I will put that in the chat window as well.
And you guys, Stacy, you're lucky to have Stacy. She really knows this program inside and out. So you guys have a local person on site that is really and truly very, very poised to help you with this. Stacy's been working with this program for, I don't know how long, Stacy, 6, 7 years, like a long time. She knows it. So definitely take advantage of Stacy's resources as well.
And then, so Nora, if we could just pause just for a second, I'd actually just like to share my screen if that's okay. And I just want to show, because the people are asking about the purple puzzle piece.
Good.
So if you look up here, it's this purple puzzle piece that says RW. It's kind of small, but you should see that if you are signed into Chrome with your OUSD account. If you're signed in with a different account, then you will not see that, because this is really only for OUSD. You have it through your OUSD account. So it's that purple puzzle piece. And once you click on that, then that opens up ReadWrite. I just closed it again. Okay. So I hope that's clear. So then you've got like all of the icons for Read and Write, and you can click on all of those. And it's really fine. Just you're not going to break anything. Just you can click and try it with different websites, try using the annotation tools and see what different things do with it. Okay.
And Kenneth, will you also show them where the PDF icon is so that they know they have that as well?
Yeah, where is that? Is
It's,
that?
Go to your purple puzzle piece and then head just a little bit to the right and you'll see a little gray icon that
Oh,
says
this one
PDF
here.
on it.
Okay.
So that means you can open PDFs with Read and Write. If you just click on it, it's going to take you to your quote PDF reader dashboard, which frankly, you'll use once the first time you use it and you'll probably never use it again.
Okay.
So,
Well, and
don't worry about
the
that.
PDF reader is pushed out
Good. Okay.
for
Yes.
everyone. So they, what we've been showing and on the intro, and you'll probably get into this, Nora, is just how to open up PDFs from your Google Drive.
Correct. Yeah.
And as long as you have a PDF saved in your Google Drive, then you can utilize Read and Write with it, which means you have all the features, including being able to type on top of the PDF and read the PDF.
Great. That's perfect.
So I'll stop my share and you can go ahead and start sharing again, Nora. Thanks for letting me do that.
Kelleth is probably a much better housekeeper than I am. You can see I've got like a million extensions up here. But the two you care about are the purple puzzle piece and then the little one over here that says PDF. So let me drag this over here so you guys know these are the last ones on my toolbar. So as Kelly showed, if you click on that little puzzle piece, it's going to disappear. I have a cute story, which is Oakland Unified is actually somewhat responsible for the way that that is laid out. Stacy can probably attest to that. We did have a lot of Oakland Unified teachers who were really concerned about maybe the toolbar being distracting or covering up something that you wanted to do. So there's actually 3 ways you can display the toolbar. So this is kind of like the standard. If you think you don't want to look at right now and you want to look at all these Google pieces, you can, and then you just pull down that sort of hanging tab. And then this one does 2 things. It makes your toolbar completely disappear. And that's the part we did for Oakland Unified. You guys requested and we went there. And the other thing that happens when you push that is also how you activate the web toolbar. So just to show you guys how I would use Read and Write on a website, I'm going to go to a favorite website. If you guys don't know about this, Dogo News is awesome. What's going on there? Oh, looks like maybe National Geographic's got something going on with them. But as we click here, you'll see leveled news stories. Ooh, phytoplankton, love that stuff. So here's the article. And if I want to use Read and Write, can you guys see my little purple puzzle piece? I'll pause for a second. And then when I click on that, the puzzle piece is just going to appear on top of the website. And you can say you drag it around. If I want it under where I'm reading or over where I'm reading, I can do that. And then I can select text on the website and hear that read out loud. I can look words up in the dictionary. I'll look up explore in the dictionary, in the picture dictionary. And all those things that I showed you in the Google Slides, those will work. So if I wanted to create a vocabulary list from this article, I could look up fiction and explore and shore, right? And then I could do the same thing. I could click that vocabulary button and I could get a vocabulary list. So everything that I'm showing you right now, depending on, the file format, the tool may look different, but all the strategies that I'm showing you now, you're going to be able to also do inside of a PDF. Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to show you with the web toolbar, that's going to be probably most important on the web. There is a screenshot reader available for you inside Google Docs, and I might use it twice a year. Google Docs are generally very well formatted and you won't have a problem. You can see how I can select text here, but look what happens when I try to read the part that says your amazing brain. Can you see how I'm trying to pick up the text and nothing's happening? Basically, whoever created this website took these words and tried to make them really pretty. And when they did that, they basically made the words into a picture. So we're a little smarter than the computer. We know there's words there, but we can't read them with the computer until we use this tool right here, the one that looks like a little dotted line square. I'm going to click on it, and I hope you can see that I have like a little crosshairs, and I'm just going to pick the word amazing here. But I just select what I want to read, and Read and Write will scan it for me and read it out loud to me. And it's kind of hard to see because this is a dark background, but there is a replay button here. We know that students need to hear text, especially students with accommodations need to hear text more than once, so they'll be able to do that. So the place that this screenshot reader is going to come into play is if you have an online textbook. Most of the textbooks that you're getting from publishers probably have some text-to-speech built into them, which is great, but there's a couple of things that happen with that. Is the text-to-speech. Here you can select one sentence or one word, whatever you want, and have it read out loud. If you started here and you were reading it for a while and you wanted to stop and look at something, you could hit a pause button. Most of the publishers' websites do not give you a pause feature, which this is a fairly long article, but now imagine you got a high school kid that's reading a really long article. There's no pause button. They stop somewhere in the middle and they have to start all over at the beginning of the page. That might be a time that you might want to use this. And likewise, many of your textbooks will have a diagram or a chart, and it'll be like this. You won't be able to select and have it read out loud. So it might say a picture of the heart, and then it says left ventricle, right ventricle, aorta, something like that. And you will be able to use this to select that. So all the things that I've been showing you are going to work inside inside a PDF file. So with that in mind, we know that you have the PDF reader because you have that little PDF. And in order to use the Google extension, which is the PDF reader, again, we've got to be in the Chrome browser. And we have to, there's 3 different places that we can open a PDF from. We can open a PDF from a website, and it's just going to open with the PDF reader if that's what we choose. We can also work within Google Classroom, but I'm going to show you what happens when I open a PDF inside my Google Drive. So I went to my Google Drive, I selected the PDF, I clicked on it, and you can see it's thinking, and there is my Read and Write for Google Chrome PDF reader toolbar. So that's what this little guy means. And now that I have this here, I'm going to be able to interact with this PDF. And you guys, I picked this one to kind of give you an idea. You could have a worksheet, you could have a PDF from lots of different places, or you have the opportunity to turn a photograph into a PDF. So you can see here, I took this in a classroom in Alameda, I think, and the teacher had done a nice job putting things together on a bulletin board, but this graphic organizer isn't really doing kids that much good on a bulletin board. It's not that interactive, right? They'd have to look over and copy it, and it's not really necessarily the right way to do it. So I can use these different tools here. So I can select text and press the play button, and I can hear that read out loud to me. So that's great. But there's different ways that I can annotate the PDF, and I'll show you the first one on this, and then we'll go to another PDF. This is the one that people like the best out of all the annotations. So this T for typewriter, I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go to wherever on the PDF that I want to write something. And it says jobs I do with partners, and I'm going to say yard work. And so I could use the talk and type, and I could just say yard work, and it's going to go on there. Yard work. And if I want to make it bigger, I can make it bigger, I can make it smaller, and I can drag this around. I'm like, oh, maybe I want it in that square. No, okay, I get help when I do yard work, and I put it there. So you could see how I can interact with this PDF in a much more meaningful way. For students with accommodations, obviously their work is going to be neater and cleaner, but this is going to be a much easier way for students to interact with the PDF. So this is an example of doing that with a graphic organizer. I am going to move over to this PDF, which I've already opened, but just remember, I go to my Google Drive, I just double click on it, and it opens for me. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about setting up your PDF, and Stacy's an expert at this, so you've got local help, but you can always call our tech support or reach out to our tech support if you're stuck with this. This is more instructions than you need today. This is kind of more of a troubleshooting thing. But everything that I'm going to show you here is going to be explained in great detail in these slides. So this is going to tell you what I just showed you, how to open slides, PDFs inside Google Drive, right? And so this is all the settings in case that wasn't working for you, how that you would do that. You can open PDFs from the web. So if you're on a website and it has a PDF, and instead of just looking at it on the website, you want to have it read out loud and do all those different things, you can do that. So I'm going to show you something that is going to be very helpful to you if you want to read things from the web. And I saw lots of you wanted to use Google Classroom, which hooray, I love Google Classroom. If you go to your PDF reader icon, remember I showed you guys that gray one that says PDF on it? So that's telling me it's the text help PDF reader, and I'm going to go down here to where it says options. There are 3 options that you want to consider. It's up to you if you want to open PDFs on the web with that nice toolbar so you can do all those things. And then these 2 are going to be very important to you and your students if you want to use PDFs inside Google Classroom. So you want to enable classroom integration, and you want to open classroom PDFs directly. If those 2 things are marked, when you do the assign and turn it in, the toolbar will be there, and all of the annotations that I'm going to show you how to make are also going to be there. So let me take you back and just repeat that. It's also in those slides. So you right click here, options, and then choose whether you want to open your PDFs on the web that way. And then if you're a classroom user, you really want to make sure that you click these 2 to make sure that you can open in Classroom and also share back and forth with your students. So Stacy, I'll take a quick step back here. Are you guys comfortable with that?
Yeah, and this is great resources, Nora. I'll post, I posted the link to our training document in the chat. Awesome. And we're going to be doing another Read and Write basic overview next Thursday, May 14th. So you can jump on that if you want, as well as view a recorded training. And then we have a whole shared drive of Read and Write resources, so we can plug these resources in there as well. Awesome. And if anyone isn't on our shared drive, you can email me. We'll put my email address in the chat window, or also you can email at@ousd.org and we can add you to the shared drive.
Awesome. Okay, good. I wish I could show you all directly in Google Classroom. It's, I know Stacy knows it's the bane of my existence that I don't get to play with Google Classroom as a text helper. But just to let you know, if you have that Google Classroom integration, you will see the turn it in button. Somewhere here, there's a picture with the turn it in button. But you will actually see the turn it in button. And then the other thing that, here we go, the hand in button for the student, and yours will be assign, the direction going the other way. So just make sure if you're a Google Classroom user, you know that there is a setting in Google Classroom, like when you go to assign a PDF, you can check where it says make a copy for each student. That is so your friend. It's awesome. By just checking that one thing, you could do it for, one class of 30 students, or those of you that are secondary, you could do it for 8 classes of 30 students. Totally up to you, but it'll save you lots and lots of time. And then what that means is each student has their own PDF that they will make their own marks on. And then when you review their assignment, you'll see just that student's marks on the PDF. Okay, so this is, again, going into like quite a bit of detail, but should help. I wanted to share some strategies that you can use in a PDF. And this PDF is in my Google Drive. It's something that I loaded to my Google Drive from a nonprofit. I just found this, and it was talking about how pesticides move up the food chain. And so I wanted to share some strategies that you could use with this. So of course we can hear this text read out loud, right? We can look for words up in the dictionary. We can do all of those things. But I wanted to kind of show you the different types of annotation. And remember, if we were in Google Classroom, I could share this with students and they could share their annotations with me. And I'm going to start from the kind of the lightest level of annotation to the heaviest annotation. So this first one here is a push pin. And I like to use this to sort of scaffold the instruction for students. So as a teacher, I could say something like, I'll use my word prediction now. This is due. This is due on this Friday. And then the kids would be able to actually hear this read to them, right? Oh, this is due on Friday night. Okay, I'll say that. So they'll be able to hear that, right? And if I click OK, it just leaves that little push pin there. I'm going to get rid of this one so you can see how to do that. So when I looked at this, I thought it would be a great way for students to practice compare and contrast. So what I told them was that they could practice their compare and contrast skills by marking with the highlighter in green anything that they saw that would be good for students, and in pink or red, or birds, excuse me, and in pink or red if it was going to be bad for birds. So as they go through here, so this would be bad for birds, right? Tidying up would be good for birds. Trapping with care would be, let me get rid of that guy. Let's turn off that. So trapping with care would be good for birds. We're going to make that green. Oops, two things on there. So we're going to make that green. These sound like pretty nasty pesticides, so we're going to make those red. This is kind of gruesome, so we know that's bad for birds. And then you saw how I used this icon, the vocabulary here, to make my vocabulary list. I could do that here as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to collect my highlights now. And I'm going to collect them not by their position in the document, but by their color. So I'm going to get my pro evidence in green and my con evidence in red. And these are going to come out into a separate Google Doc. And that doc is going to have a link back to the PDF that I pulled these from. So hopefully you guys get an idea of how you could go beyond just scribbling on a PDF, which is something, but it's not really getting into that like higher order thinking and that more collaborative. So this could be, you know, the students, you know, pull out the information that they think is important. I'm not going to make a separate document here. I'm just going to show you some ideas for how you could extend this and have, you know, more student learning taking place. What if I gave the students a Google Doc now, and I built a table into a collaborative Google Doc, and I wanted 6 kids to respond, and I would say here, good for birds, bad for birds, and why? And your student that said tidy up could say tidying up was good for birds. That doesn't really say a lot, does it? So we're going to ask her to elaborate on that, and she's going to say, if you don't leave a bunch of food lying around, you won't get rats and you won't have to put out poison, and then the birds won't get sick and die. Oh, she did get it, right? So this could be, you know, bringing that PDF back into a collaborative place where your students could interact with each other. And I did that with that colored highlighter, right? So I'm going to go back to annotations. This was my scaffolding here with that little push pin. You guys already saw the typewriter. So I can click anywhere here in the document and I could say, there must answer. And then I could hear that read back to me. Oh, that's wrong. I got to change that a little bit, right? So then I could not only just change the size of it, right? But I can kind of change the orientation a little bit if I want it all on one line or 2 lines. And then if this was a traditional worksheet, I'd be able to just drag it over to where I wanted it, and it would look like I just typed right on top of the worksheet. So you guys have seen the push pin. You guys have seen the typewriter T. There is a drawing tool, which is what I was talking about, you know, scribbling on there. You can change the color. I'll make it purple. And you could ask your students something like, tell me where on the page you think you're going to find the answer to the question. And they could say, I think it's in one of those 2 paragraphs, right? There's also a shape. So you can choose, again, the color. Let me change the color so you can tell it's a different thing. And I could draw a box around something, right, that I thought was important. So you guys get the idea. There's lots of ways to annotate this. Now, if you were to share this in Google Classroom, I'll show you all the things that you would see. Since I don't have Google Classroom, you guys should not have to do this because you have Google Classroom. But I'm going to click print. So you're going to see what would happen if I either printed this out or shared this in Google Classroom. So you can see the typewriter T where I said there must be an answer. You can see the highlights that I made with the highlighter. You can see that scribble where I said, I think it might be in this paragraph. You can see the square that I drew around, right? But the one thing that you can't see is that little push pin, right? But everything except the push pin, you'll be able to see back and forth. So the push pin you would share directly with a student. So that would be where you could remind a particular student of, you know, some strategy that you were working with on them. So I'm going to cancel that. I just wanted you guys to see what persists. And then the last way that you can communicate, I think might be super helpful right now during this remote learning time. I don't know how many of you guys use the comments in Google Docs, but this is just like the comments in Google Docs. So I can click in the text and I can add a comment here. And I don't know if you can see there's like word prediction, the speech input. I'm not sure what to do next. Could you help me? And then you can comment. So if you share this, if you share through Google Classroom, you'll be able to see the comments. But if I were to share this link right here with, say, my mom or the tutor that I used to see every Thursday, they would be able to see this document. They wouldn't be able to change it except to be able to comment. And then your parent or your teacher or whoever's helping the students out is like, read it again and tell me what is hurting birds, right? And then comment. So that piece could be shared with absolutely anybody, regardless of whether they had Read and Write, regardless of whether they had Google Classroom. So any questions at this point?
I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, Nora.
Okay.
So if anyone does have questions, go ahead and add those to the chat, or you could speak up as well.
Okay. So you guys saw a couple of different ideas for PDFs. This is a PDF that somebody else made. This is a PDF that I made of, you know, by taking a photo, and Stacy can help you learn how to do that. This is, I think I did this with some folks at one of your middle schools a couple of years ago. If any of you are using the Unique Learning Systems curriculum, you know that it comes with PDFs. And so we scanned those PDFs and we brought them into Google Drive. So now we're able to do things with our students who, you know, do this for practice. Not only can they hear this stuff read out loud, they could be looking words up in the dictionary. They could be not just looking them up in the dictionary, they could be looking, using the vocabulary tool, right? So flyers, that's kind of an odd looking word if you have a learning disability. So you could be looking at all of this and giving your students lots and lots of extra practice, right? So you could be coming out here and taking this now away from the picture text support. Just a little bit, because they're still going to get the picture from the vocabulary list, right?
Yes, thanks. Nora, this is Stacy again. Someone asked, and first I'll go to the first technical question and Kelleth can jump in if I'm incorrect. So for Read and Write, it's pushed out for all students automatically. Depending on what year you started with OUSD, there's been a little bit of hiccups or possibility that maybe Read and Write is not added to your account. If you are signed in to your OUSD Chrome, if you're not on a Chromebook, you have to make sure you're signed into your OUSD Chrome account. If it's still not showing up, you can submit a help desk ticket for that. For students, I have not seen that there's been any issues. For some staff, there's been a couple one-offs that we've had to put in a help desk ticket for, but just be sure you're signed into your Chrome, not just into your Google Drive. So, and then the next question is before someone would like to see how to, there's a lot of questions. I know we're getting close on time. How to review, how to allow writing on a PDF, and do you have to import all PDFs into Google Drive?
Great questions. So yes, the PDF needs to be in Google Drive if you are going to work with it. So think of it this way. Your Read and Write and your PDF reader, they live in the Chrome browser. So you have an option to read someone else's stuff in the Chrome browser, right? So your students could look at a PDF in the Chrome browser, and if they wanted to use those tools, right, to like pull some information out, they get to keep them. But where does it go after you close it when it's in the Chrome browser? Nowhere, goes away, right? So I would strongly recommend that you go ahead and work in the Google Drive. And then that also frees you up to work directly with Google Classroom if you're using Google Classroom. And remember, if you're trying to figure out how to share a PDF with 35 kids, Google Classroom is so your friend and so worth learning to use. Does that help a little bit?
Yes, thanks, Nora. And I just, since we're running low on time, I just wanted to say, I put in a link to our AT training list. We're going to do a overview on Read and Write next Thursday, the 14th at 1 o'clock. I put the link in there so you can, save those training links. And what is AT? Assistive technology. Thank you for asking. Thanks. Yes, sorry, assistive technology. So we're providing technology support and access for students with disabilities and special needs. But during this time, we're providing trainings to anybody. So it's, feel free to come and email me or ask more questions about that. But we have a recorded overview on Read and Write on that link. And hopefully if you aren't as familiar with assistive technology, you can ask maybe a special ed counterpart, and they can fill you in on who your AT specialist is.
Awesome. So I will try to wrap things up here. There's one thing I wanted to make sure that you guys got a chance to see, which is I shared a bunch of graphic organizers for you guys. I know that's something that people are very much in need of right now with remote learning. So if you click on this link, and definitely feel free to share this link, Stacy. I've got 2 pages since I knew you guys were going to be talking about PDFs. The first page I've had for a little while. This is graphic organizers that I put together for you guys to use in Google Docs. So if you're looking for something like sentence frames, and I know I did a lot of this with you guys in the past. If you are still using Step Up to Writing, this is going to look really suspiciously familiar for you. This is a template. If you click where it says Use Template, it is going to automatically make a copy for you in your Google Drive. So what that means is you can take my link right here and share that with students, because they're going to automatically make their own that they can share with you. So here's a place for them to use the Read and Write tools to write a 4-sentence paragraph. So they're going to have word prediction and all that kind of good stuff. So there's all kinds of things here. So there's like plot diagram and timelines and all kinds of stuff. This one is really cool for right now when you're trying to find ways for the students to really kind of share their thoughts with you remotely. This is a really cool little template for responding to a podcast, but you could have this be even a movie if you wanted, right? So that would be a really cool thing. I wanted you guys to know that those are there for you. So the first page is templates for graphic organizers in Google Docs. And then here is templates as PDFs. So again, if you wanted to write on these as a PDF, let me see if this will open for us. There you go. You can see how you would do that. I'm going to open this with Read and Write for Google Chrome. because this is in my drive. You guys would need to make a copy of it. And then I'd be able to just go right in here and say, find out what the question is. So however I wanted to write on it. So just remember to write directly on top of a PDF. You click the typewriter T and click anywhere in the text. So if I want to click the typewriter T and say what the topic is, I could go right here, how to fix things. Oh, that's not right. So you guys get the idea. You've got a lot of options here for using PDFs, and you're in great shape with Stacy. I wanted to also share a bunch of links down here, and Stacy, you may want to look at these and see which ones you want to share. But these are all specific to PDFs. So this is PDFs in Google Classroom, how you would collaborate in PDF with the Google Drive. So ideas there. And then if you're looking for some independent training, we have a training portal that's free. You can go over there. You do have to log in because we offer you badges, but there is like a half-hour, 40-minute-ish course just on PDFs, and you'll ask a couple of questions, watch a video, do a directed activity, answer a couple of questions, and earn a badge. So that might be a fun way for you to do that. We've got a YouTube channel. We've got tons and tons of resources. And then if all else fails, we have a troubleshooting website here. And so I clicked you right to where you would go to find out more about using the PDF reader. Okay, so that's always a great place to go. Here, when we're talking about Google Classroom, these are step-by-step instructions with actual screenshots. So that should be super helpful. And then last but not least, we do have tech support. They are on the East Coast. So if you're gonna reach out to them in the afternoon, make sure that you send them an email. You could send them a screenshot of what you're experiencing. And although they might be gone at 2 p.m. our time, they might respond to you at 5 a.m. our time, right? Before we're even on the job, I hope. So that's a pretty full hour there. Any more questions? Anything else I can do to help you guys?
I think that just about covers it, Nora. And I just want to say thank you for the very thorough training. And I know that a lot of people, they're just hearing about Read and Write for the first time. So we do have resources. Stacy posted in the chat some resources for more training for Read and Write, and I'll be posting that on Teacher Central as well. That's our teacher website. But just want to say thank you very much, Nora, for offering your time and your support to help us get to know Read and Write a lot better.
Awesome. Always happy to help. You guys call on me if you need more.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Alice.
Bye.
All right. Have a great day, everybody, and happy Teacher Appreciation Week and happy Cinco de Mayo.
Yes.